Hello everyone, welcome back to Sparrows End. We are going to spend quite a bit of time in the garden today. Yesterday I managed to tidy my poly greenhouse, but was rudely interrupted by a hailstorm, so I couldn't get anything cleaned, I couldn't get any seeds sown. I am going to insert some footage here though, so you can see exactly what I did manage to get on with. I started by just reviewing the situation and moving a load of stuff out of the way of the front of the poly greenhouse because I couldn't actually get to it to start with. And then once I'd rolled up the front of it and had a little look inside, I decided that pretty much all of it needed to come out because there was such a lot of mess in there. I managed to empty some trays and some pots of soil and was just generally pottering away, trying to keep all of the empty plant pots in one place. And this is where I got to part of the way through. I could see that I still had loads more plastic flower pots to deal with. There was an old washing up bowl in there, all sorts of things, old tags and things like that. And so I went ahead and started pulling everything out and trying to sort it into lots of different piles. The trouble was though, I created so much mess in the process, but I think overall it was actually worth it. I ended up finding loads more trays and flower pots than I realised, and I also went up and down the garden picking up any waifs and strays, just flower pots and things that had ended up blowing into other parts of the garden, and also realised that I had got lots of different separate stacks of flower pots. I had some stacks down the bottom of the garden as well, so I tried my best to bring them all back into one place so that they were all at the top of the garden. And then the hail came and put an end to all of it, and you can see I hadn't even put the flower pots away at that point. This is the after. This is the slightly tidier version, so I've still got a lot of stuff in here. None of it is actually seedlings or sown seeds or anything as yet, but it did feel a lot more organised. So as you can see, I've still got quite a bit left to do today. I really want to get some of those seed trays cleaned and get some compost into them and get some more seeds sown. And I also want to start going around all the different tubs and things that I've got up near the house, like the container garden area, and just start clearing them up, taking out all the dead plants and things from last year, and maybe getting some of them into a really good state to start sowing some seeds directly into them. I have also got a massive bag of Casablanca first early seed potatoes. Casablanca are my favourite first earlies, and they've always grown really well for me over the years. I am thinking, where are we now? I think we're kind of middle of March. So I'm thinking I could probably put some in a tub up near the house. It tends to be a lot warmer up there. I think when it comes to planting them out at the allotment, I'll probably wait until the beginning of April, just because it's a more exposed site. But yeah, I'm desperate to get going. And it's also actually quite cold, so it's really bright outside. Hopefully you can see that there's a lot of light coming through. And so I put this massive jumper on. Now this is a hand knitted Icelandic wool jumper. It hasn't been knitted by me, but I actually managed to pick this up secondhand and I absolutely love it. It's really, really bobbly though, so it needs a good like fabric shave ready for next year, but I've got it on because it's really quite windy outside. Anyway, let's stop the chat. Let's get into the garden, although actually let me show you some seedlings first. So these are my chili, pepper and aubergine seedlings. I've got loads of aubergine seedlings in here, and I've got, what am I growing? Chocolate habanero, cayenne, Peruvian lemon drop. They're all leaning towards the light. Some padron peppers. I think that's boot, jolokia, fiery furnace, and some mohawk sweet peppers. And you can see that I'm going to have loads of plants. I always oversow these particular plants though, because I can sometimes struggle to get them going once they reach this point, and quite often they get destroyed by slugs because I don't have a greenhouse or anything kind of secure to put them in. So I have to do my best to protect them in the poly greenhouse. And then over here I've got some very leggy sweet peas. They are pretty much ready for their little trim actually, that will hopefully make them bush out. So 2 different types of sweet peas. Let's have a look at what we've got. So just a tall mixture. These are some bluey purpley ones, I think. Singing the Blues. And then in here, I've got everlasting sweet peas. And I think I might have been better off just buying a plant because they have not responded particularly well. But an everlasting perennial sweet pea, I want to put those around the arch at the allotment. It really is very cold out here. So I've got my scarf on, but I also found these pieces of packaging. I'm hesitating slightly to use them because I don't know what chemicals have been used to make this cardboard, but at the same time I just think that they're a really good depth. They are something else that's probably going to biodegrade. So I thought I might just experiment with using them as seed trays for one season. I'm sure that there's going to be plenty of people pointing out to me in the comments that this is a really stupid idea, but I'm going to go for it anyway. The tubs in my garden are Hugelkultur tubs, which means that they have got some biodegradable matter in the bottom and it's piled up in order of size. So I've got like 1 or 2 kind of quite big bits of wood in the bottom and then twigs and smaller bits of debris on top of that, and it all rots down, and it means that last year's tubs have got some really great compost in that I will take out and use for seed sowing this year. Okay, the sun is so bright I can't even see myself on the screen properly, and I don't know where I'm looking, so if I'm not making eye contact, apologies. I've had to stop filming using a tripod because it's so windy out here. It nearly blew over and broke my phone. So we are avoiding that at the moment. So the only thing I've done in the meantime is I filled up those 2 cardboard containers that I showed you that came out of some packaging, filled those up with some compost. So I ended up sowing 3 trays worth of seeds. In this first tray I've got some mammoth dill, and in the next one some celery pascal, and in this one I've got, I think it's 2 or 3 different types of beetroot. I have just got back from some thrifting, so I thought let's have a little show and tell. Let's have a little thrifting segment. Everything is wrapped up in newspaper in some bags, so I will fast forward through the unwrapping bits or just skip them altogether so that I can show you some of these absolute gems that I have discovered. Now, they are supposed to be for the shop, but I reserve the right to keep something from this little lot because there were so many things in this secondhand shop that I wanted to get, but I was on a budget. I was on a stock buying budget for the shop. I thought to myself, get the things out of everything that you've spotted. So don't just go for the things that you know will sell, go for the things that you know will sell, but are also the things that you really, really like. Now that could have been a mistake, but yeah, let me get started at showing you some of these beautiful things. So item number 1, which like I said, is something that I really, really love. There is this absolutely gorgeous, massive mug and saucer with a blue hyacinth design on it. That is sensational. I absolutely love it. It is, now I can't read this because the reason I was in town was to get my eyes checked, and I do need to get some glasses for the first time in about 20 odd years. And I can't read what's on there. It's actually very tiny. In my defense, it is definitely very tiny. Look, tiny, tiny writing. But I just thought that was absolutely beautiful. So that I am thinking would make a really fantastic soup bowl, or you could plant it up with a succulent. I think that would look really nice as well, or maybe some spring bulbs, that type of thing. But that is beautiful and I'm very tempted to keep it. And then we have this, which is so stunning. This is traditional Malaysian pottery and I'm so taken with this. I can imagine this with some bright yellow daffodils in it. I really do think it's, because it's black, white slash a kind of like an off-white creamy colour. I think this is going to look particularly good with like one colour of flower and a really bright, bold colour of flower as well. And it's just, I think for me it's this over the hyacinths. So this is going to help me whittle down anything I'm going to keep. I also have this cute but slightly grubby Sona mid-century milk jug. I do have a teapot for sale. So this, I'm actually definitely going to sell this because it matches, like I said, something I already have in the shop. But I don't know whether to list this separately or to re-photograph the teapot, the creamer or milk jug together so that they form a set, or whether I could maybe try and source a sugar bowl and then sell them as a complete set. So I have questions for this one and some things I need to think about, but it is definitely going on sale, as much as I do love a bit of mid-century. And then this is another piece. Its base has got that bubble glass, the Bullacante glass at the bottom, a lovely white glass, which again I think is just going to look amazing with spring flowers. And then it's got this really chunky kind of lip at the top. I'm not sure if you would count this as Jack in the Pulpit. I'm not convinced that it's quite coming up as high as some other examples. But again, I'm just thinking about this with spring flowers, and this is very much on my temptation list. But I have got some other white glass that I think some of it is actually milk glass. I need to sort of look at all of it to see if there's like one piece that really stands out that I love the most. There's this gorgeous little soup dish and saucer that they are a proper sage green, in that they've got that blue tone to the green like an actual sage plant. I think so many things are advertised as sage green these days that actually are not to the colour of sage, whereas this absolutely is. And this is Holkham Pottery, based in Norfolk, and I adore some of their ranges. I have started a collection of their Snowdrop range. I sold something recently, I can't remember what it was. I think it might have been a milk jug, and that was from their strawberry range. And that's kind of understandable that that has sold recently, because strawberries are all the rage, aren't they, in homewares? I see them everywhere at the moment. And they're a very, very popular motif. So I really, really love this pottery. And I'm so tempted by this because I do make a lot of homemade soup for my lunches. How much would I love a really special soup bowl and dish to use? The other thing I like about this, as opposed to me keeping any of the other things that I've shown you so far, is that this is very practical. I would use this a lot over the course of a year or over a lifetime if I kept this. So as much as I really, really like the other pieces, and that Malaysian vase is still, it's singing to me, I still absolutely love that one, this could be the practical thing to keep. My next gorgeous find are these two, oh look, they really blend in with this room, two Korean stoneware mugs. Now, I have a lot of mugs, so I think that as much as I absolutely love these, and they genuinely do go with the decor in this room, which is a mix of lots of like creams and coffee colours and beiges, and there's a lot of quite a bit of layering in this room of those sorts of colours, and this would bring another lovely texture in. I really shouldn't be talking myself into this, but I have sold a couple of Korean mugs in my Etsy shop before, and they didn't hang around for that long. So I think that these are definitely for the shop. So if you like them, then check out the shop link, because you'll definitely, I'm making a promise, I'm definitely going to put them in the shop. And next up, and these are filthy, these are absolutely filthy, but I have got these clear and white glass pillar candle holders, which again, I mean, they would just go in any home because they are neutral in colour, but it almost feels like they've got some colour in them because of the white glass, and they're heavy and chunky, and they've got quite a modernist look to them. I'm not convinced there's a huge amount of age to them, but they are very heavy. They don't feel like something that's just been, oh, whoops. They're fine, they haven't cracked, don't worry. They don't feel like something that's just been churned out willy-nilly, you know, like a lot of things are. But there's no identifying characteristics on them that I can see at the moment, but they are just fantastic. And I currently don't have any holders for pillar candles. In fact, I don't even own a pillar candle. I would really, really like to introduce those into my home. However, if I don't currently have a candle that needs these candle holders, and there are other white glass items, because I'm thinking in the dining room, which you can only see a little bit of, but there's a lot of green and white in there. Again, that room is like a sagey bluey kind of green colour, and I think the white glass would look really nice in there. But I don't currently have a use for these, so I could put them in the shop on that basis that I'm not ready for a pillar candle holder yet. I'm going to stop waving them around now in case I just keep smashing them together. Now this is a beautiful milk glass vase. I think it's this piece and this piece. I think these are my two favourites at the moment. I just held those up very awkwardly, didn't I? This is a piece that I know would look sensational on my dining room table, and again would look incredible with just a few daffodils in the vase. So it's very clear what I'm most tempted by. It's this glass vase, it's the Malaysian glass vase, and it's the soup dish and saucer. They are my just would love to have pieces at the moment. And so the final pieces that I picked up are these two lovely matching, they are actually the same size, it's just where I'm not holding them properly. These are matching milk glass vases. They are more of a bud vase size, I would say, overall, and they're really pretty. So they've got they're by Rockwell. I don't know very much about Rockwell glass, I'll have to look it up, but they've got, so the design is interesting to me because I don't know how well you can see, but the flower looks a bit like a Tudor rose, or part of a Tudor rose, and then around the base there's a Greek key design, and I find that an interesting combination. That is something that I will look into, because those two things do not naturally go together, and it could be that I've misinterpreted that flower and it may well symbolize something else, but they are really lovely. And also what I like about, you know, some of these things that I've picked up is that I've got some matching pairs. I've got a matching pair of mugs, I've got the matching pair of pillar candle holders, and I've got this matching pair of bud vases. So I think that I'm going to take advantage of that and actually certainly put the things that are matching pairs into the vintage shop on Etsy. And obviously the milk jug's going on there. I think the hyacinth mug and saucer can go on there as well. I've been keeping back lots of vintage cereal bowls and vintage sugar bowls that I'm going to use to put bulbs in and things over, you know, the coming years. And I genuinely, like, I have enough that I don't need to take that as well. So really what I'm choosing between in terms of what I'm keeping is exactly as I keep saying. I keep looking at these things. It's the Malaysian vase or the milk glass vase or the soup bowl and dish. So if you want to see what I've decided, you can check out the Etsy shop and see if the thing that you liked the most, which I would be very interested to hear actually, if this was your little haul of vintage items that you'd picked up in one day and you'd unwrapped it and were looking at it and you had a shop, what would be the one thing that you would keep for yourself? But yes, if you have seen something that you genuinely like enough that you would want to purchase, then go and have a look in the shop and see if it is available. Bearing in mind that someone else who hasn't seen this video might have already bought it, but you might get a clearer idea about what it is that I choose to keep. And what I will do is in a future vlog or future video is I will make sure I specifically show the item that I've decided to keep. Or items if I go for two, but I'm going to try and whittle it down to one. And we are back in the garden again because I don't know if you can see, but the sun has finally come out. And what I've done is I've sorted out 2 or 3 tubs, I think it is, with some compost in the bottom, some of the lovely compost from last year's pots where, like I said, all of the debris at the bottom has rotted down. And I've put some seed potatoes in there. These are actually main crop. These are Anya potatoes, and they were a birthday gift. Just to show you the health of the Hugelkultur pots, you can see all of the worms in there, and that is because of all of that rotted down matter from last year. I've also got a scarf on as well for working in the garden because my hair, it really needs washing. It's meant to be wash day today, but I thought I can't be bothered to wash it, wait for it to dry before I go outside. So I've got it tied up, which then of course means that my neck gets cold So I've had to put a scarf on, and the temperature isn't, so it's bright and sunny, but it's actually not very warm, and there is a bit of a breeze out there. So I have been outside on a test run in just a long sleeve t-shirt, and I thought, no, cardigan and a scarf. Now I'm sure once I'm out there and I'm moving around, that will change and I'll be like chucking things off left, right and centre. But for now, I need to dress like it's Alaska out there. Oh, and of course, the other thing that helps with cold weather is making myself a nice cup of tea to take out there with me. So in this final little segment of the video then, this is me outside with the cup of tea in my very cheap little Asda strawberry mug in case I break it. That's why I've got that one outside and not one of the nice ones. These are the little pepper and chili seedlings that I have potted on, or pricked out rather, even though they're not quite big enough. I just really struggle to get them beyond this point if I keep them in the house. So we are chancing our arm and chucking them outside in the polytunnel. And I've got them in that plastic tub just to try and give them a little bit of extra heat and moisture and some extra protection. I've got a dahlia tuber that was a birthday gift that I'm potting up, and some tomato seeds that I am sowing and will probably grow inside. So I think that will do for this video. Thank you so much for spending some time with me in my garden and with my thrifted haul, and I'll see you again soon.